let's immediately begin this video with the weigh-in, all right? So here we go. Removing the camera awkwardly. I'm actually standing on the scale right now. Here we go. What am I showing up? Oh, that's right. I don't want to actually manually squat down because it can actually adjust what shows up as far as the weight goes. All right, what are we looking at here? And this helps because we can see exactly where I'm at. Okay, so to me, it looks like I'm right on 165, right? That looks like 165 to me, right? Yes, 165. Okay, now let's talk about why that is important to this whole storyline. All right, so 165. We all agree that's what it said that I weigh, and here's why that's important. I'm now standing off the scale, and I'm looking at my own blog post, which you could Google right now if you wanted to. It's called Stay at Home Dad 101. I'm no longer an overweight vegan. I lost 7.5 pounds in the past 30 days. BMI is now 24.5. So just to recap, here we are in March. In January, I started this, and at that time, I weighed 176 pounds, and at 5'9", that put me at a BMI of 26. Which was 6 pounds past the normal range or the optimal range. So I was actually overweight and had been overweight. Did you see my TV show that I was on This Time Next Year? Well, during that time, I was at my heaviest. I was probably around 176 pounds. Of course, I had a beard as well. But I was definitely an overweight vegan, which is interesting because today also marks the 5-day celebration of me being a vegan, which points out the irony that a vegan could become overweight, but I definitely was, and I captured all that 2 months ago. Now what's interesting is, a month later in February, if you watched this video, what you saw was that I actually did end up losing some weight. I lost 7.5 pounds, which put me in the healthy BMI, 24.5 for my BMI. So I went from 176 pounds in January to 168.5 last month in February. Knocked my BMI from 26 to 24.5, meaning as of last month, I was no longer overweight, okay? But we just saw, it looks to me like I'm exactly 165 pounds. So I've lost another 3.5 pounds in the last month. And actually, technically, it wasn't even as much of a time period because of a shorter month in February, right? 28 days. But still, we'll just go along with it. So I lost, let's say, 3.5 pounds in the last month. And I gotta say, I was probably a little bit more lenient this time around as far as, because the whole thing was for me to cut empty calories out of my diet, and introducing more whole fruits back into my diet. So eating like a whole apple, cutting it up, whole orange, cutting up and eating it throughout the day, which means I'm less likely to eat or drink empty calories. Okay, so clearly I've continued to make progress. With some might argue, they say, Nick, but didn't you have like a lot of hair the last time I saw you and now you don't? Okay, so maybe arguably a few ounces of the weight loss was my hair. Okay, I'll give you that. All right, so what we need to do now is we need to figure out what my BMI is now. Now that I weigh 165 pounds. Last time it was 24.5, okay? So what I'm gonna do, as I always do on these videos, is I just go to Google and I type in BMI, and very conveniently and easily, it will show up. It's got this little calculator you can punch in your stuff. So first I'll do my height, 5'9", which in theory maybe for guys like me who aren't on the tall side, maybe weight shows up a little bit easier for us. Like, you know, Chip and Joanna Gaines, you know, everybody loves them. Well, he has also said on the show at one point that he's 5'9". And he's talked about his weight gain. It's like, if I was 5'11" or 6 foot, maybe we wouldn't even really be having this conversation. But when you're not as tall, it matters about your height. Okay, 5'9", I'm 165 pounds now. And that puts my BMI at now 24.4. There we go. So 24.4 is my new BMI. And as you saw, it now is still normal. So I have not only maintained the normal BMI for the past month, which was a shorter month because of February, but I am still no longer overweight. So if you watched the first video, you saw how I clearly definitely undeniably was overweight because when I did the app, it said overweight. I lost enough weight to no longer be overweight, and now I've lost even more by continuing on my path. But it's funny because again, today makes 5 years that I've been a vegan. So I want to keep reinforcing that fact for the people out there who says vegans don't get enough protein. Look at me, I had to lose weight and still continue to lose weight. I've still got pants that don't quite fit as comfortably as they used to. A couple years ago when I was right in the middle of my 5 years of being a vegan, I got my lowest, I think I was down to 153. So now I'm at 165. Not that I necessarily need to get down to 153 again. If I can just fit in those pants that I bought and haven't worn for a couple years, then I would be happy, which my guess is probably if I were to get right under 160, like 158 maybe, I'd probably be at that point and I'd be happy if I could do that. So there's my progress. You've seen this all in real time. I have lost more weight. I've continued on the path. I'm no longer overweight, and I've now been a vegan for 5 years. And yes, maybe an ounce or two was my hair. All right, so we'll see. I'll give you that, but still, arguably, I've undeniably lost around 3.5 pounds since you saw me last. Thanks for watching. I am Nick Shell. I've been a vegan for 5 years as for now, which no one celebrates. No one will celebrate and say, oh yeah. No one cares that I'm a vegan. People don't care about that. But I think it's important for me to acknowledge that because there's so few of us male vegans out there. And perhaps I'm one of the only male vegans, if not the first, to document all this on YouTube to show you how this has happened. I went from an overweight vegan to now in the normal range, and I continue to lose weight just till I get to where those pants fit again.